All right. So, welcome everybody. This is Gauntlet Hangouts, and today we are going to be playing Trophy Gold by Jesse Ross. We're going to be playing through the Chasm of Screams, which is a module that was originally written by Tim Hitchcock for Pathfinder, the Pathfinder Society, actually. And then I took that basic framework and wrote a trophy incursion on top of it. So a lot of this was written by me. So disclaimer, we'll see how that goes. But we're going to go through and introduce ourselves. Let's go me, and then John, and then Kyle, and then Josh. Just introduce yourself, give your pronouns, and then anything you have to promote, a Twitter handle, project you're working on, whatever you want, go ahead and shout it out. So I'll go first. My name's Sam Zimmerman. You can find me on, pronouns, he, him pronouns. You can find me on Twitter at Typhos Games, TYPHOS Games, where I have a lot of projects out. Eventually, this module will find its way onto my itch page, which is also Typhos Games. I have a game in beta right now called Revolution, which is a belonging outside belonging game of French Revolution, dark magic, political intrigue. So go check that out. And John, if you want to introduce yourself.
Yeah, hi, I'm John, he, him. I am on Twitter at John Grimm. I don't really talk much, but you're welcome to follow me. I don't have any projects going on currently.
Kyle?
Okay, yeah. So my name is Kyle. I don't have a Twitter. I have an Instagram. I'm a photographer, so if you want to check out my Instagram, it's kylewist.thelightspinning on Instagram. If I'm not doing game things, I'm usually doing photography things. So that's me.
And I'm Josh. I use he, him pronouns. I have a Twitter. It is at for sure not Josh. I also don't really post anything. And I have an itch at josh-horowitz.itch.io, which has a couple like small lyric games on it, if you are interested.
Very cool. So we are playing through Trophy Gold, and as such, we have already gone through our cats. We have already gone through our safety tools. For those of you who are watching at home, we're using Lines of Veils, X card, and Open Door. So if people stand up and leave or start saying X, that's why. So do we want to go through and introduce our characters? Feel free to go through as much or as little as you want. At least give your character's name, their pronouns, their drive, and their occupation and background. Same order.
Yeah, so I will be playing Kel, he, him. He is a defrocked priest who has an occupation as a leech. And his drive is to attend Countess Shima's Forbidden Festival.
Okay, sorry about that, guys. Hope I'm not making you guys dizzy. I thought I'd try to go outside, but it's raining. So, anyway, yeah. So my character's dad. He uses he, him pronouns, as do I. Sorry, did not say that earlier. I too would like to go to the festival. Dad would. Sounds pretty amazing. And he is I want to use, let me say, an emboldened rat catcher. I love that. Had to go with that. And that's me. Dad.
And I am Josh. I am playing Osto, the sorcerer. He is a beast bitten, but he has been cured, or at least the progress of his disease has been stopped. Though some philosophers and natural scientists believe that it is only a matter of time before any beast bitten, ultimately transforms. He is he is skilled with magic, and he has with him a jar of troll blood and a pouch of glowworms and such. And ultimately, his drive is to rebuild Hisham's fountain. If he does not either go feral or die trying.
Awesome. All right. So, to introduce our module, I have a little poem for us. Fiery chariot, low in western sky, speeding to its bed neath the hill Lothkiel, peering down on busy town, bustling spell, townsfolk rush to and fro on feet so spry, with fire in belly, to tasks they fly. To the peak, each man is softly compelled, by tales of silver the hermit did tell. The race to the cavern of screams is nigh. Deep in Mount Fallor, the cavern sleeps sound. The whisper of wind, so blistering cold, its riches have laid so long underground, kept deep in amazed, designed to confound. They no longer recall the skies of old, waiting, still waiting, ever waiting to be found. High on the slopes of Mount Fallor is an abandoned cave of no real prominence. Few have ventured into its depths, and even fewer have come back. Most who return tell stories of frozen rivers and disappointment. Some come back with stories of screams from the depths. But one man came back with something greater. An old man, hooded and cloaked, came into town just the day before yesterday. Before leaving town, he sold a pair of silver ingots engraved with strange runes and told the shopkeep that he found them deep in the Chasm of Screams. Now the town is abuzz with rumors, speculations, and preparations, and if you can get there first, you might find some ancient silver in the frozen depths. So the theme for this incursion is haste. So you are part of this town that is kind of in a treasure rush right now. This rumor went out yesterday, and now every treasure hunter in town is trying to get to the chasm first. You're racing against the clock, you're racing against each other, and you've formed this group with the hope that maybe together you can make it past some of the obstacles the others can't. Haste makes waste, though. A single mistake can spell death in the chasm. So play into that as you will, and this is going to be contrasted fairly sharply with the fact that most of that cavern has been untouched for centuries. And so any chance you guys get to play into that or play off of that, feel free to do so. We're going to start off in our quaint little town. Does anybody have an idea for the name of this quaint little town?
What about Kalor?
I love it. The town Fallor. Do you want to spell that?
In my head, it was Kaelor.
Awesome.
Ooh, can we make it Kaylor's Gap?
Sure.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Love Gap Towns.
So, let me look at our character keeper real quick. Osto. You're the sorcerer of this town. Are you like the only sorcerer here, or is there a small college that is keeping the local towns flush with magical talent?
Well, I think that Osto is certainly not like a college educated man, but I don't think he's the only sorcerer. I think he's certainly a more experienced sorcerer than most. And probably he does have some respect because of that, you know.
Okay. So you're like the establishment, essentially. People come and go. The peons try their hand at witchcraft, but you put them in their place.
Yeah, I think
like
that makes sense. Yeah.
That's awesome. Where do you work? Do you have your own shop, or do you work in like a market square or something like that?
I think he's more of like a freeloader. I think he, sort of like lives in an alley. I don't think he is the kind of man to have permanent lodging.
Okay, I love it. That's fantastic. Thad, you're the resident, or at least you were the resident rat catcher. What do the slums of Kaylor's Gap look like?
The slums. Well, I think there's a lot of like tin roofs that have been constructed. I feel like there's a lot more people in them than there was a month ago. Because people are just setting up tents everywhere because there's many people coming. Yeah, just a lot of ramshackle constructions, and it's quickly been added by more ramshackle constructions. It's actually starting to I would say at this point it's starting to rival the rest of the town. It might be like half slum by now, or tent city.
Yeah, that's great. So most of those tents are like people coming in to prep for their trip up the mountain, right?
Yeah, kind of like one of those old western towns.
Yeah.
Started and the wagons are coming in, and maybe there's some new construction as well, like on the edge of town.
Yeah, I love that. Kel, with all these new people in town, I'm sure that there's a lot more injuries happening. How's business been for a leech?
It's really, really good right now, and I am the top leech that you can find operating out of whatever back alley is closest to you. I am not the town hero that everyone talks about. That we went to Dr. So-and-so for help. I'm the one you see when no one else will take you.
So you see a lot of those desperate one in a million chance type cases. What's your success rate then?
It's not good. I'm going to be honest.
That's got to be depressing after a while.
It is, but I find that the secrets and things you apply from people when they're on their deathbed can still be their own form of currency.
That's pretty good.
So I get paid one way or the other.
Very good. And as a defrocked priest, you had a good amount of influence with the ruling class here. What are they like? Is it an elected mayor type deal, or is it a nobility that
there's definitely a noble class. I might get the wrong word. I think like an oligarchy. Is that like there's a ruling class of businessmen and mercantiles and such, and wealth is definitely equal to power here.
Yeah, that's good. So why don't we go around and explain why you know the person to your left in the character keeper. So Osto, explain how you know Thad. Thad, explain how you know Kel, and Kel, explain how you know Osto.
Well, I think that Osto, does not exactly have much of a way to keep rats out. So he might actually, I think he's probably selling them to Thad because, he like sleeps in this, lean-to. And whenever he finds a rat in there, he picks it up and drops it in a bucket, to take over.
That's good. That's good. Thad, what do you do with all those rats?
Yeah. I'm an active rat catcher, and I actually my goal is to breed heirloom rats, which then I will ship to other parts of the kingdom. What's interesting is that like people when I go looking for work, I'm kind of like Dale from King of the Hill, where I'm just like, I will work for free. I just want your rats. Like, you have rats, I'll come get them. Like, I don't even see myself as like a exterminator so much as like, oh, there's rats over there, I want to go collect them, like, so that I can use them for my breeding. So yeah, I'm very happy to pay for like a pail of newly found rats.
All right. And how do you know Kel?
Okay. And I just want to make sure I'm getting this right. So I think that we grew up together. I think that we are childhood friends, and we have long dreams. We have long dreams of attending Countess Shima's Forbidden Festival ever since we were like juvenile delinquents. This has been on our bucket list.
That's fun. So Kel, you said Thad said that you two grew up together. Did you grow up as like wealthy neighbors and have since fallen, or were you both kind of children of the slums, and you managed to have that brief moment of kind of levity when you joined the church?
I think we're both children of the slums. Grew up in the alleyways and such, and Kel joined the church and had a patron actually that funded his admission and his schooling. But there's been a falling out since related to the defrocking. So that's not a good relationship anymore.
It's unfortunate. And how do you know Osto?
I'm his friendly neighborhood herb dealer.
All right. So you collect herbs from just outside town. You use some of them for your
Yep.
medicines, but I like
Yep.
it.
Yeah, I think it's every Saturday morning you can catch Kel on the outskirts of town, picking mushrooms and other herbs and things. And I heard Sorcerer was in town. Sorcerers tend to need herbs, so connection was made.
Excellent. Also, what do you do with those herbs that he provides you? What's the primary outlet for all of this plant matter that you get?
Well, I think a lot of it is, burned as like incense, and also probably vaguely hallucinogenic, ritual purposes. If people come to Osto to, inquire about something or have him do some folk magic, he probably, grinds up some poultice or lights up an incense stick out of the herbs that have been gathered.
That's great. And so I think that out of all of you, Kel would probably have heard the rumors first with your connections. Why did you go to these two for their help?
Well, Osta's reputation precedes him. And given the amount of competition I expect we'll find, his abilities, I think, will be very useful. And then, damn it, if that is not the hardest working person when you dangle a carrot in front of him, he will just go for it. So, and he, childhood friend, can't cut him out of the loop. I got a soft spot for the guy.
Excellent. I love this. So it is 15 past the hour. So it's a little bit late for our first break. Sorry about that. But I think this is a good spot to take the first break. And when we get back, we will move on to the first set of the incursion. Does that sound good to everybody? So the first set of this incursion is the farmer's hovel. So you three have all packed up everything that you need for this trip. You've set off amongst the kind of the hustle and bustle that's going around you. Are you leaving that evening, or are you risking it and waiting until the morning?
I think time is of the essence. We need to move as soon as we can.
Okay. Yeah, there have been a couple of groups that have already headed out earlier in the day, and so any delay is potentially less silver for you. So you head out.
That means this time is wasted.
Yep. So you three head out. The road below you has fresh, muddy wagon prints of folks heading up the mountain. Some people have horses. You guys are not wealthy enough for horses and wagons of equipment, and so you have what you bring on your back. But you make your way up the road, and you know that the last building before you truly get into the wilds is Aya's farm. Aya was a woman that you all know of, probably don't know that intimately. She was a widow. Her and her husband used to live out here on a farm, and now it's just her. And you were kind of expecting it as the night is getting dark. and twilight is starting to set in. You round the bend expecting to see the fire lit in Aya's hearth, but you turn and the lights are out. And so the incursion, the goal of this set is to discover the fate of Aya. And I want to start by asking when each of you met Aya. We can go in character keeper order, which would be Josh, John, Kyle.
I think we've probably known each other for a while. I think Usto is an older person. I think he's been in town for a while. So, if only as like a part of the community.
Yeah. So she came to you one time for a ritual, and what was she asking for?
I think she wanted a warding charm put on her home.
Okay. I like that, warding against some kind of wild animals or something that were attacking her. So I think that makes sense. John, when did you meet? Sorry, Kel. When did Kel meet? Aya?
Did I hear correctly? Aya is a widow.
Yes.
Correct. Okay. Kel met Aya at her husband's death. They were in need of some sort of medical services, could not afford the finer doctors or priests in the city, and so word reached Kel that they were looking to hire someone in the last hours, and so he came and met them at that point, and was actually with her when her husband passed.
Thank you. And Thad, how do you know Aya?
Yes. I met Aya when she came to me in much distress, because she'd been very badly, she felt deceived, or just there was this warding spell that had been put on her home, and it was just really, it was shoddy, and it just didn't work, and so it did not keep the rats out as she had hoped, and so she decided to take the old-fashioned. She decided to turn to decided that the old ways are the best ways, as it turns out.
I like that little.
That's meant to be funny.
Little shot at Osto over here.
Yeah, like she's like, I paid like 3 gold.
3 gold is a lot. She probably paid a few copper at best.
Oh yeah, sorry.
But
I wanted to think it's like actually a very small amount.
Okay.
I paid the whole 3 copper, and it only worked for like 5 days, not even a week, and then the rats were back. So yeah, I very happily showed up.
Very fun. So you guys make your way up to the front of the farmhouse, where the road kind of comes up along the side of a large garden that's set in the front of the house. And the garden is absolutely torn to shreds. There are holes dug everywhere. Vegetables are smashed. Plants are scattered everywhere. And the front door is hanging limp and on only one of its hinges. Behind the house is the large field. And in the middle of the field is a copse of trees. And the house itself is small, probably one large room with a thatched roof and a kind of a large stone chimney sticking out of one side. What would you guys like to do?
I would say I've seen this before. This is definitely raccoons. This is the work of raccoons, clearly.
I don't think raccoons tear doors off their hinges, Thad.
They have like opposable thumbs. Like they can use tools. They don't have to tear them off. I'm just saying, my money's on raccoons as an experienced rat catcher. I feel like it's at least parallel to my field. May not be part of my field, but it's parallel to my field. I think. Don't worry, it's no big deal. Nothing to be afraid of, unless they have tools.
I'm interested in investigating, looking at the garden that's been dug up, and looking to see if it looks to be some sort of animal tracks that have dug it up, or was it something else? Does it look like it was done by a shovel?
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. So this is our first hunt roll. And so the way hunt rolls work is that you get 1 light dice for just exploring the scene by default. And then you get a second dice if you can justify why either your skills or a piece of equipment that you have with you is helping you in this situation.
So in this case, I'm going to say, since it is evening time, it is past the sun setting. I have torches, which we will be using one of to have lit as we're examining the grounds, and that way it's illuminating and we're able to better see what happened here.
I like that. Okay, awesome. So, why don't you go into our roll for your party, grab 2 light dice from the pool, and re-roll them.
Just the 2 light ones, or do I roll the 2 light and that dark?
You do not get a dark dice
Okay.
on hunt rolls.
Okay.
So
just re-roll these 2. There we go. It did that thing. I don't know. Roll20 does, or not Roll20. Roll for your party. Sometimes I see it update, and I never know which one to go. So I have a 1 and a 2.
Yeah, I also see a 1 and a 2. So on the highest one is a 2. So on a 2 to 3, you encounter something terrible. And so you bring the torch down to kind of look at this plant, this garden that has been ripped to shreds, and you see footprints in the fresh dirt, and you can also see a black mist coming from the doorstep, and this black mist is curling out from under, from just above the threshold of the door, and it's coming, and it's kind of covering the entire surface of this garden, and you can swear that it's going into the plants, and the plants are almost growing as you watch them.
That's unsettling.
Osto, you are our resident sorcerer.
Yeah.
Kel, do you point this out to your fellows?
Yes, absolutely.
Perhaps as evidence that my theory may not be it is.
Uh, hmm. Is there a way? Could Osto try and track down some sort of like see if there's a magical route to this?
Yeah, so it's fairly clear that it's coming from inside the house. You could do a hunt roll to try and
Well, I think
kind of investigate where it's coming from more closely than that.
well, I think if it's coming from inside of the house, then we probably ought to go inside the house.
Okay. So you are investigating the scene further. So I think that this is another hunt roll.
Okay.
So you get a dice for just roll it for just activating the hunt roll, and then do you have a skill or a piece of equipment that you're using?
Well, I'm skilled in ritual. If this is a magical,
Okay, so you're trying to understand if there's a ritual or something going on here. Yeah, I can see that.
okay. That is a 1 and a 3.
You guys are not rolling well here, are you?
So I know there has been issues with Roll for Your Party where sometimes it never rolls not a 1. I can't say for sure that's what's going on, but something to keep an eye out.
Oh, that is a 4 and a 3.
So I'm re-rolling that one
okay.
just to test to make sure that it works. So there's a 5.
Nope, then we're just bad. We just have bad rolls.
There's
Okay.
a 6. Okay. So we can maybe put that one away and draw another one next time. So, okay. So on a 3, you encounter something terrible. So I think what happens is as you're making your way up the path in this garden that has been almost completely covered in now rotten vegetables that have flies buzzing around them, and you step on something that doesn't quite sound like fruit. And you look down and you've stepped on what half looks like a hand, but also looks like a stick. And you're trying to come to terms with what this is as the now broken stick hand reaches up and grabs your leg from below. What do you do? You are muted right now.
Yes, I am. I'm going to swat at it with my staff.
Okay. So you're trying to... Are you trying to get away from this, or are you trying to take it out?
I suppose I'm trying to take it out.
Okay. So in that case, this is combat, where you're trying to take out an enemy. And so as you swing down at this, you start to see other plants move and grow, and like a pumpkin vine is starting to creep around and is coming up behind Kel, who is kind of still waving his torch at the ground, trying to figure out what's going on. Thad, you're outside, but you can see the ground is almost like shifting and moving as roots buckle up through the ground. So who is participating in this combat? So let me quickly read over the rules for combat, because it is a single roll. So when you attempt to defeat a monstrosity, first say how you expose yourself to injury or attack, and roll a single light dice. The number on the die is called your weak point and represents the risks that you're taking to face the monster. If multiple treasure hunters are involved, each rolls their own dice. Now gather 1 dark dice for each treasure hunter involved and roll all of the dark dice together. In order to defeat a monster or group of monsters, you have to roll against the monster's endurance, which is a number between 2 and 12. The GM may reduce the endurance if you have relevant skills or are taking advantage of your equipment, environment, or the monster's weakness. If you roll the highest 2 dark dice are higher than the monster's endurance, then you defeat them. If any of the dark dice are your weak point, you take 1 point of ruin. At any point after you roll the dice, people can leave combat. When they do that, they give their light dice to somebody else who is sticking around. And you keep going. And every round you add 1 more dark dice until eventually either you're dead or you defeat the monstrosity. Does that make sense to everyone?
Mostly.
So, we'll try it out, and if you have questions as we walk through it, then we'll hopefully iron those out. Who is participating? So, Osto, you've kind of initiated this, yes. And I will tell you that if you go at this by yourself, it's going to take you at more than 1 round, because this thing has a endurance higher than 6. So you're not going to get on the first swing.
Kel is also participating.
Okay. Thad, are you joining in, or are you gonna kind of run away from this?
Gosh, yeah, if it were up to me, I'd say, hey guys, maybe we can find some other place to shelter. I don't know if the reward is worth the risk. But in the spur of the moment, if I don't participate directly in the combat, do I still have an option to do anything else?
So you would not. Your options are either to participate as an active participant or to say
watch my friends
you guys
die.
Essentially either go and do something else. If you want to do something that you think would end combat, like a ritual or something like that, then that would be its own risk roll and would not be considered combat. And you would basically be saying, I'm gonna take us out of combat by doing that thing. Does that make sense?
Okay. And this creature, it's outside the house, right?
Correct. So this is essentially the garden is coming to life and is trying to grab you and strangle you.
Can I try to go around the back, enter the house, and see if there's anything in the house that would?
Yeah.
Would that be considered part of the combat?
So we can have that going kind of simultaneously. I like that.
Okay, that's what I want to do, since it doesn't look like it's grabbed me yet.
No, I don't think you had done anything that would put you inside the garden. So if you want to go around,
I'm feeling like a hammer is not going to help me very much against a crazy vine and undead vegetables. So.
Okay. So, all right. So, Osto and Kel, why don't each of you roll me a light dice and then say how you're leaving yourself exposed.
So let's see. So you said how we're leaving ourselves exposed.
How are you? So let's read the exact rules. Say how you expose yourself to injury or attack. How are you leaving yourself a weak point?
Gotcha. So I rolled a 5,
mm-hmm.
And so I think we see Kel with his torch examining the ground, And then there's a sound that comes up from Osto, and he looks up and sees this thing that has reached up and grabbed Osto's leg, and at the same time, like there's this pumpkin vine like reaching up to grab him, and so now Kel is like flailing with the torch at the vines, trying to set them on fire while also beating them back. And you see like these vines like coming to life around him.
Okay, I like that. And so you're basically saying that your weak point is that you're surrounded by this.
Yeah, I'm picturing we're in this garden and it's like all around us. You know, the vines and the vegetables and everything have come to life and starting to grab it. So it's just like an outnumbered. They're surrounded us, and I'm one person with a torch.
And Osto, how are you leaving yourself vulnerable right now?
I think Osto is staggering back. He's sort of off balance.
Okay, I like that. So you've been grabbed by this thing, and so you've got really one leg free, and the other leg is you're trying to kick it and get out of this thing's grip, and you're stumbling backwards. I love that. I love it. All right, so there are two of you, and so you get to roll 2 dark dice. And so I think Osto, since you kind of initiated combat, if you want to do that.
All right.
Just to keep it simple.
That is a 5 and a 3. 8.
That is a 3 and a 5. So that is if the total of the 2 highest dark dice is equal to or higher than the endurance, then the monster is defeated. So that is equal to the monster's endurance. So you have defeated the monster, but the one of the dark dice equals Kel's weak point. And so Kel, your ruin goes up by 1, or you can choose to mark off your armor instead, and describe what that hit looks like.
Yeah, I think as Kel is flailing the torch around, a vine with thorns on it starts to wrap around his arm, and he has to pull it back, and it rends the flesh from it, just leaving these bloody trails.
Oh, that's good. That's good. And Osto, since you took the initiative on this, how do you defeat this this plant?
Yeah, well, I think Osto is he beats away this thing on his foot,
Mm-hmm.
And I think he just sort of like smashes it down with his staff, and as he's staggering back, I think he comes out of the house and he bumps into Kel, knocking the torch onto the garden, which sets the plant life alight.
So you guys didn't do this out of any sort of heroics. This is complete luck. That's great
on our part.
That's great. All right, so you have defeated this thing. So a little bit of mechanics real quick. There's a bestiary. And so one of the things that you guys get to do is keep track of everything that you've fought and write down fought or encountered, and you guys get to name it, you guys get to describe it. You guys know its endurance now, so you can write that down, and you can keep track of any other information you've learned about it. So Osto or Kel, what do you guys want to name this thing?
So yeah, I'm picturing that like after we finish this thing off, Osto and Kel are like having this discussion, like, what the hell was that? And I don't know, Oster, do you think was it all one sentient thing connected, or was it a bunch of disconnected plants that came to life together? What you ever seen anything like that?
Osto says, no, I have some plant magic, but it is not sentient. I control it. It is not so detailed, so aggressive. It seems, if I were to guess, I would say they probably come from the same root.
So why don't we call it like a root devil? I don't know. Root.
Like a maybe like a root clinger or something.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah,
root
so
clinger.
the name goes in the top, and then the second one you can kind of describe it however you want.
Clinger.
I like that. That's good. And then one of the other kind of interesting things about Trophy is that the bestiary stays no matter what. So even if your characters all die, you get to start fresh with new characters, but you have the bestiary. So any information you've learned, any of that knowledge, you get to keep. So filling this out is very useful. And then the last thing that you guys get to do is get some treasure for defeating it. And so why don't you take, so you get a number of dice equal to its endurance, which is 8. So you get to take 8 dice and roll all of them, and then you get 1 gold for every time you roll a 6.
Why don't you do that, Osto?
Okay.
I imagine that's like a lot more fun when you're not using roll for your party in real life.
Yeah, the Kickstarter had actual like clear dice with gold flecks in it, and so those are very cool. Right,
yeah, I saw the incursion contest gets you dice, and so I'm like, okay, I should really think of something.
Yeah, so there's 2 6s there.
There are 2 6s there. I think if you win the contest, they give you a slipcase set too, which is very generous.
Yeah. So with 2 6s, you guys get 2 gold worth of treasure. So I think what happens is that you burn away this garden, which goes up significantly faster than you're really expecting it to go up, but the fire takes hold and starts to burn away. So we've already established that this house has a thatched roof. Do you want to do anything to stop it from reaching the house?
Yes.
Thad, you were running around the side, and now you see this blaze come up from the side of the house. Do you want to come back and do anything?
Gosh, this is one of those moments where, okay, I'm gonna look. Can I look for a water source with my constant vigilance?
Yeah, so I think that makes sense. Like you're aware of what's going on around you. So yeah, why don't you? I think this is honestly a another hunt roll. Or do you? So This is kind of borderline, isn't it?
Okay.
So hunt rolls are for when you're exploring the world and trying to find things. And a risk roll is for when you're trying to avoid a specific bad outcome.
Oh, yeah.
And so I think this is closer to like a risk roll where you're trying
Yeah.
to avoid the bad thing happening.
I
Right?
was going around to the back of the house. I'd say I'm at risk if the house is about to catch on
Yeah.
fire.
So the bad thing happening is the house catches on fire.
Yeah.
So let's go through how a risk roll works. When you attempt a risky task, say what you hope is going to happen, and ask the GM and the other players what could possibly go wrong. So what do you want to happen?
Oh man, this is tough because this is a land without fire hoses. I'm guessing, or hoses, or even garden hoses, right?
Mhm.
So, what do you guys think? Can I query my other party members or players here? What can I look for that would help me stop the fire from spreading? I don't have any magic that would help me. My mallet is literally made out of wood.
I think that it is so. I think that there is definitely a chance that you go around back and maybe find a well or something like that. That would help.
Okay, like a well. Yeah, I guess I'll hope I find a well with a bucket in it. Like, I don't know if a single bucket is going to help, but I'm certainly willing to try.
Okay, so that is your that's the thing you hope will happen. And then the rest of us get to say what could go wrong if you roll a 1 to a 3. And so I'm gonna go with the easy one and say, you find the failure condition is you find the well, but it's too late, and part of the house catches before you can get around to stop it. John or Josh, do you guys have other ways that this could fail?
A potential failure would be in your haste, you fall into the well.
Oh, oof, yeah.
What could be down there?
Josh, do you have anything, or do you want to just go with those?
Yeah, I think that is a fun consequence.
Okay, yeah, that is a good consequence. So the way this works is that you get 1 light dice if you are skilled at it because of your occupation, background, or training. So if you have a skill that makes sense, if you're taking advantage of a piece of equipment, or you're taking advantage of the environment nearby. And so I think you already said that your vigilance skill is kind of what you're leaning on.
Yeah,
here.
or even speed. I feel like this is definitely a moment that calls for speed.
Okay. So do you actually have a speed skill? That's very poignant for this incursion, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then you take another light dice if you accept a devil's bargain. And so the way the devil's bargains work is that that we can offer you something that is true no matter what. And this cannot invalidate either a success or a failure. So, for example, the falling into the well is not a good devil's bargain because that would mean no matter what, you fall into the well, which kind of invalidates the success of getting the water out of the well and dumping it on the thing. So the devil's bargain that I'm going to put forward is there is something in the well. And that something is not happy about you taking its water.
Okay.
John and Josh, do you guys have devil's bargains that you want to put forward?
No, that's actually where my mind went to. So
Yeah, I think
Okay.
that's good.
Okay.
All right. I'll accept that devil's bargain because I like complications.
Okay.
That gives me an extra dice to
So
roll.
so you get 2 dice, and then you can always, with a risk roll, you can always re-roll and add a dark dice, as long as the highest dice is not dark. Does that make sense?
Not really, but I'm assuming that you'll help me out with that.
So if you roll your 2 light dice and you get 2 ones, your
Okay.
highest dice is not dark, so you can always add a dark dice and then re-roll all of the dice.
And the dark dice does what exactly?
The dark dice is you being willing to risk your mind or body in order to succeed.
Oh, okay. All right.
And so you can continue doing that as many times as you want, as long as the dark dice is not the highest one. If the dark dice is the highest one, you have to stop and your ruin goes up.
Okay. Let me ask you this.
Mhm.
So I get 1 dice no matter what, right?
No, that's a hunt roll. So you get 1 dice from having a skill, and you get 1
Okay.
dice from the devil's bargain.
Okay, cool. So if I didn't have a skill or be willing to take a devil's bargain, I just wouldn't.
You just fail.
I just be like,
you
well,
can't do
that
it.
happened. The house caught on fire.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, got it. But I don't need to I don't need to worry about the dark dice thing unless the roll goes badly.
Unless the roll goes bad. You can start off just with your 2 light dice. Hopefully it goes well. So let's move these guys
Okay.
up.
Is there any reason that somebody would say I'm going to immediately roll that dark dice?
If you are using
Good reason to do that?
If you are using a ritual, then you have to include the first dark dice. Or if narratively it makes sense that you're doing something that is potentially very harmful to yourself.
Okay, awesome. All right, I'm gonna go over to our and just what am I rolling d6s here?
So if you go onto the first page of the character keeper, there's a link to the roll for your party.
Yeah.
And then there should be a big pile of.
Oops. I may just. Sorry, I cleared the room.
That's okay. So if you want to roll d6s.
Yeah, 2 d6s. Okay.
Yep.
And submit. Fine. Waiting for roll for your party.
The highest one is a 6. So you succeed at what you were doing. What does this look like?
All right, fantastic. Well, I think that is that like a critical success then?
No, so it's just success without a complication.
A success without a complication. Sweet. All right.
So but the devil's bargain still happens. So there's still something in the well.
Yeah.
But I don't get to introduce any additional complications. It's just a success. You succeed at what you wanted to do.
Sweet. So I go to the well, and luckily there's a shiny, extra large bucket there that is just Goldilocks size for someone of my size and stature. I fill it with water, and very quickly in my speediness, speed over to the fire and speed over and dunk it onto the fire before it can reach the house. And maybe I'm followed by something unbeknownst to me. I'm not sure.
I think what happens is you do this and you toss a bunch of water out of the bucket.
Oh, no.
And something else comes out of the bucket along with the water. So the water goes flying, but you've also dumped out what looks to be a nest of snakes that were living in the bucket. and we're
Oh,
not happy about being disturbed. And that's where we're going to take our second break.
okay.
We all good? All right. Let's get back to it. So, you have successfully caused enough water right at the threshold of the house to create kind of a barrier to stop the house from burning down. And so the fire will kind of die out by itself. It kind of went up in this big blaze and then is now coming back down to just kind of these smoldering ashes in the garden with these kind of broken, crackling. It still looks like little hands of burnt wood that are sticking up out of the ground that are curled into these gnarled fists. And so you make your way through the garden, and I actually want Kel to tell me what. So I want Kel and Osto to each tell me one special herb that they found and what it smells like as it's burning. So
yeah, I think Kel recognizes not from actually seeing it, but from the smell in the air. There's this strong peppery scent that he recognizes as an herb called dragon's breath, and it's most commonly used for as a spice in dish. It has a strong spice and peppery taste to it, but can also produce a lot of smoke when it burns, and so you can actually also combine it like to make smoke bombs and those sorts of things.
very cool. Okay, yeah. So add that to your found equipment. And so the way that works is you can either use it as a piece of equipment during the session, in which case it'll probably get used up because it seems like a consumable type thing. Or when you get back to town, you can sell it for 1 gold.
And okay, I see it now.
Yeah, it's all the way down at the bottom. And Osto, what did you find?
I think that there are some pretty delicate plants, like on the edge, with sort of like a dandelion style, like not spory, like
Like little puffballs?
Yeah, that sort of thing. And they're very sweet smelling. And I think they are probably not quite as utilitarian, but I think they are, good in food. They are a source of natural sugars.
Okay, so they're like a sugar beet type thing?
Yeah.
Okay, I like that. That's great. So you also have that if you want to use it for something or sell it for gold. And so we'll get back to Thad in a moment. I kind of want to let that sit and let Thad think about what he wants to do with all these snakes. Osto and Kel, now that the fire has kind of died down, the house door is open, and you can make your way inside if you would like.
Yeah, I think Kel would move inside, and start calling out the name of the widow. I forgot it. Aya. I was thinking Ava. Close. Aya.
Close. Is that a Borderlands reference? Because I was playing that yesterday.
It might be, actually. It's a character name in the game I'm running for friends, and she plays Borderlands, so she probably got it there.
Fair enough. Anywho, So you make your way into the building, and it is as you kind of expected. It's one room. Actually, Kel, you've been here before. This is where Aya's husband passed, but it is absolutely torn to shreds. As similar to the garden, chairs are broken, the mattress is ripped, and the straw is just kind of tossed across the room. There's a chest on the other side of the small room that has been smashed instead of opened. It's just been smashed and everything taken out of it. The stove has survived mostly because it's a giant chunk of cast iron. And the only other thing that it looks pristine is there's a large log table in the center of the room that is very sturdy and solid. And on top of this table is a carved soapstone figurine with a note underneath it.
I'm gonna pick up that figurine and look at the note.
Okay. So you make your way up to the... So actually, let's do a hunt roll first. Because you are investigating something about the scene. So that sounds an awful lot like a hunt roll, and you can get some tokens. So you get 1 dice for being in the room. Are you leveraging some skill or some piece of equipment as you're doing this?
When under occupation, when it says forensics, what kind of forensics do we think it's referring to?
That is up to you.
Okay. So I'm going to interpret that as a general ability to notice details, right?
Okay.
As comes from when you study medicine.
I like that.
So I think that attention to detail, since Kel has some history with when he reads the note, he's additionally looking to examine it for, is this Aya's handwriting? Do I recognize this as being genuine from her? Or is this potentially something someone else left?
Okay. I like that. So why don't you roll me 2 light dice?
Okay, I'll roll the 2 we have here. As a 2 and a 3.
I don't think that first one re-rolled. So I would just clear them and roll 2 new dice, because that seems to work a whole lot better. A 2 and a 4. So a 4. On a 4, you get a token. So why don't you grab a token from here? Boom. You can hold on to that. And you encounter something terrible. So you take 1 token, but you encounter something terrible. So I think what happens before you even get to the note, you come up to the table and you grab the soapstone figurine and you lift it and you hear a click. You have a moment to react. What do you do?
The click is from like in front where the soapstone picked up was at?
So it's definitely like a mechanism triggered.
Then I throw my body back and cover my head.
Okay. Are you trying to use a skill here, or a piece of equipment, or some part of the environment? So this is definitely a risk roll, just so we're on the same page.
Skill, equipment, or environment.
Yes.
I don't. The best I can come up with would be environment. If there is
So there's that big old sturdy wooden table that we talked about.
Yeah. I'll duck under that. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, what do you hope to succeed by doing this?
I hope to avoid whatever that click was. I'm hoping to avoid injury.
Okay. And what could possibly go wrong? Thad and Josh, do you guys have something that could go wrong here? Sorry, Thad and Osto. It's confusing having some people with the name in Zoom and some people not. That's okay.
I mean the floor could be weak. You know, the floorboards are old. Maybe
Okay.
I had a like a pit duck to hide in or something.
Okay. I was going to suggest that the click is the ceiling was rigged to fall, and so you get crushed by falling beams and timbers coming down from the ceiling. Thad, do you have an idea?
Yeah. You know, my immediate thought was, yes, he could throw himself backwards, and he may be unlucky enough that there's like everything's been ransacked, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there could be like a broken, jagged table leg that he could.
I like that as a devil's bargain, honestly. Saying, no matter what, you're gonna dive under this table, and there's something sharp, like a broken plate or something like that you get caught on. That's a good devil's bargain.
Yeah, I would say. I guess I wasn't imagining it quite as well, but yeah. So there's something under. So he's throwing himself backwards underneath the table. Is that right?
Yeah. So he said that he's using the environment by getting under this table to avoid something either falling or something. He's just kind of getting somewhere sturdy. Is that correct?
Sorry, guys. My cat is being very troublesome.
That's okay.
You have to block it with.
So, Josh, do you have any devil's bargains besides the one that's already been kind of posited? The one that I can think of is the torch goes out, and so you are left in the dark, and you have to. So you mark off a use of your torches.
Yeah. The torch might go out. The salvaged, you know, like the salvaged route that he has might like break if he falls.
Oh, so like he wasn't done putting it away, and in all the chaos, it gets lost.
Or you know, it falls into a crack, or he has it in a pouch and like falls onto the pouch and snaps it.
I like that. So Kel, which of those devil's bargains do you want to take, or none of them?
I will take the torch going out.
Okay. And then are you willing to risk your mind or body in order to succeed at doing this? Remember, you can always say yes afterwards and add another dice if you want to do it that way.
Yeah, I'll hold off.
Okay. So why don't you clear those dice and roll 2 light dice.
Now, if I hit clear, is it going to remove
It's going to remove the token, so you have to click on them and delete selected.
Okay. Oh, there it goes. Okay.
And there's a 6. So yeah. So what does this look like as I think I'm gonna stick with the ceiling falling in because that makes the most sense for success in this state of actually getting under the table. What does that look like?
So as Kel picks up this soapstone idol, there's this click and a brief moment where you see him look to the ceiling and like it begins to collapse and the thatch falls in and there's dust beginning to billow everywhere. And he quickly just scrambles to grab the note with one hand and at the same time is throwing himself under this big oak table. And then the whole thing collapses down on him.
That's awesome. Osto and Thad, you just saw this building fall in with your friend inside it. And Thad, you're also staring at a nest of snakes that's on the ground in front of you and hissing at you.
Yeah. Well, rather than being horrified by these snakes as you might expect, Thad is actually lets out a little cry of delight and he says, "Hey guys, it's feeding time." And he brings out his little box of rats and them being, like they're not just, like them being heirloom breeded rats. They're very much related to like the grasshopper mouse that hunts snakes for food. So he just sets that box down on the ground and releases them so that they can have their dinner tonight.
Okay. That's fun. I don't even think I'm going to make you roll for this, but I do think at least one of the rats is going to bite it. So if you want to mark off
snakes than I realized.
Yeah, so I think you should, if you want to mark off one use of the
oh sure, I had
rats
too. Yeah, for sure. Oh yeah, are they supposed to be like? I mean, under normal circumstances, would they be like uses? Is it possible as a rat catcher I could acquire?
I think you can keep using it, but I'm telling you that now you have 2 rats instead of 3
sure,
rats.
absolutely. Okay, yeah.
So I don't think you need to roll.
What's a rat catcher without some rats? That's okay. Well, okay. I guess I have 2 rats. That's very sad. I did not expect it would be a problem for them, but apparently these snakes were more venomous than I realized.
Well,
one of them got lucky.
There's a couple snakes, and so probably if there were like 1 or 2 snakes, then the rats could have handled it. But half a dozen is a bit much for 3 rats.
All right.
All right. So now that that's dealt with, Osto, what is your plan?
Osto is going to yell out to Kel.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to yell out. He's going to go, Kel, are you there? To see if he has not been crushed by the roof collapse.
You get back a muffled cry. Everything's going exactly as I planned. Be out in a minute.
Yeah, I guess Osto hears that and he sort of stares at like the rubble that he can see through the door. And he just goes, "Well, if you say so, I don't know how you're going to get out."
I'm assuming this is like, pine and bits of woods and stick and stuff. And so like I can just kind of like burrow my way out. So Kel like kind of just burrows through the debris and eventually pops up somewhere in the pile of things and brushes himself off a little bit. Well,
Right.
that's one way to move on.
Osto, you're coming into this house and starting to look around now. So I want you to roll me a hunt roll as you are looking for your friend.
All right.
Are you so you get one dice for looking around for him, and are you using any of your skills, any of your abilities, any of your equipment?
I have a jar of glowworms, which I'm probably, holding out like, like I'm looking for my keys and I have my phone flashlight on or something.
That is a fun scene. I like that. So yeah, why don't you roll 2 dice?
All right.
And there's a 6.
There is a 6.
So, what does... So you make your way through the house. So take a token.
Wonderful.
So now you have 2 hunt tokens.
How do I add another token?
It's up. It's right next to the little weird face in the middle. There's tokens
I
and then
see.
cards. So, and then you can drag that down.
Okay. The token is there.
Yep. And then you start poking around, and it looks like this ceiling was like there's a large block in the center of the ceiling that was rigged to fall on anyone who was tempted enough to pull on the figurine. And so somebody definitely rigged that trap and spent time to rig that trap. I will also tell Kel that you're looking over this figurine, and it is very well made. You know that in her widowhood that Aya took up carving, and so this is probably one of hers. And it is worth 1 gold if you were to bring it back and sell it. So you have 2 tokens. You could spend those tokens to find treasure. Or you can continue looking around, investigating different things. There's still out back that you haven't investigated yet. And you could continue poking around in the garden. You could continue poking around in the house to try and get a 3rd token. And if you spend all 3 tokens, you learn, you achieve the goal of the set, which in this case is to discover the fate of Aya.
Was there anything with the note?
So you take a look at the note, and the note is gibberish. The note is just scribbles. Somebody clearly left that there as a bait, as a trap.
It's a sucker's trap, and I walked right into it. Dang it, Kel, get it together. All right.
So somebody came in here and set this trap very deliberately. Do you guys want to find some treasure? So to be clear, you don't have to achieve the set goal to move on. You could always leave and just go up the road and make your way to the cave. If you want to hang out and try and achieve the goal of this set, you can continue poking around trying to find treasure. That is entirely up to you guys.
Yeah, I think Cal has somewhat of a vested interest into figuring out what did happen to Aya. So he certainly wants to stay. I'm a little unclear. So is it that all of the farmhouse has collapsed in, or just sort of like the entryway?
So I think a large portion of the center has fallen down where this table was.
Gotcha.
Table is still standing.
Right.
It's a well-made table, but is now covered in thatch and broken timbers. And you're kind of crawling out from underneath it. So the edges of the room are still mostly intact. They're pretty dirty and dusty and were torn up anyway.
Gotcha. Okay, and there's no sign of Aya's body in here that we've come across.
No.
Then seems like it's time to move to the back.
Yeah,
Perhaps she went out that way.
Okay.
I second that. Yeah.
So you head out back, and there's this well that we found earlier. Now thankfully devoid of snakes. There's a hog pen off to the side that the gate has been busted open, and the pigs have escaped. So there's no pigs left anymore. And then there's the large field in the back with this small copse of trees just smack in the middle of this large field of uncut wheat.
Are there any tracks coming from the back of the house leading anywhere?
You could look around for some if you want to. Yeah, so that sounds like a hunt roll.
Yeah. And I've lost my torch, so I don't have light anymore.
You could light another torch, and you would just use up another use of that, but you only get the 3. So do you have a skill that you want to use? Or you can always go to those other 3 items, and on page, what page is it?
I think this is, what's this page number? 3?
Yes, additional backpack equipment, page 3. So you can pull any one of those things out of your bag at any time.
All right, I suppose I will use another torch.
Okay.
I think that makes most sense here. Light up a new torch.
Light up a new torch. Head out
Try and
back.
pick up the track again.
Yep. So that's another 2 dice.
All right. Man, not rolling well. We got a 1 and a 3.
That is a 1 and a 3. So you're specifically looking for tracks.
Yeah.
So I think what you find is very clearly multiple sets of armored footprints deep in the mud that is kind of just outside this door. The kind of the mud from the hog pit has kind of spilled out over into this small yard. And so you see Kel's footprints on top of everything. Thad's footprints on top of everything as he was rushing around trying to get water from the well. But you're able to make out 4, maybe 5 sets of armored boots deep in the mud, and another pair of drag marks that head out toward the field.
Yep. All right. I will point out the tracks to the others and say it looks like probably had some unwelcome guests. I fear she's probably in danger, if not already dead.
Well, yeah. Osto looks at Cal and goes, "Should we follow the tracks?" You can see where they lead.
Yeah, that seems like the thing good people would do. We should.
Are you good people?
Until it costs me my skin.
Okay. So, who's leading the way?
I think Cal might be.
Okay.
With his torch.
This is kind of Kel's time to shine at this point. So let's have one more hunt roll from you as you're making your way through this field of grain.
Do I keep the second die for the torch, or do I need?
Yeah, I think that makes sense. If not the torch, then your forensics and following this trail would also work. So I'm good with you taking a second dice.
Okay. Delete those. And... All right, that's better.
There's a 6. So you make your way through the field. So you get another token. So why don't you grab that?
So I think that puts us at 3, right?
That puts you at 3. So, let's get rid of all of this. Just thinking about it. There we go. So now you have 3 tokens, and you make your way through the grain, and the light of your torch just kind of glints off of the kind of damp stalks that glow from the torchlight. You're making your way through this large field, and the tracks lead directly towards the copse of trees until after a couple of 100 feet they disappear, and the ground becomes hard, and the only thing you have to go on is the thin line of wheat that is ever so slightly bent. So you can continue making rolls here. You can continue looking around, or you can just spend the 3 tokens and learn the thing. That is entirely up to you.
I'm good with spending the tokens. What do Josh and Kyle think? Because they're not all my tokens, so.
I agree. I think spending the tokens is probably a good move, and I think it also is probably a nice cap for this session.
I think so too. So you you continue making your way. What leads you directly to the grove or the copse of trees? What kind of trail did they leave behind?
I think you can the entire way see the marks where Aya's feet have drug through the ground and caught and pulled up dirt and dislodged some of the wheat stalks.
Okay. So you make your way to this copse of trees, and as you do, you start to hear a growling, smacking, crunching sound. And you poke your head around a tree to see two figures. One of them is hanging by a noose around her neck with a piece of paper nailed to the front of her chest with a knife that says, "Ungrateful host." And the second figure is hunched, small, with arms that are far too long for its body, sitting on the ground, gnawing on one of Aya's legs. And it turns and looks straight at you with these giant green cat-like eyes, and it snarls and hisses and waves this leg at you in a threat to stay away. What do you do?
I think Kel backs up cautiously and tells what he saw to the others.
I think the others are there
Yeah.
with you, so I think you guys have all seen this.
I think that makes sense. Well, taking a page out of the root clingers playbook, Osto does know the ritual germinate, which compels plants to furious growth. Could he conduct this ritual to, grow plants to stop the creature?
I think so. Yeah, so there's all these trees around. So there's definitely enough plants in the area that if you wanted to do something with that, then you could do that. So
yeah. I do not know how you actually.
So it's a risk roll.
Okay.
And so the only difference is that if you're using a ritual, then you must add that first dark dice.
Okay.
So
I am skilled in rituals.
Okay. So there's your first one. But let's go through the steps. What do you hope to accomplish?
I hope to bind this, this threat to us.
And what could go wrong if you fail? And that's to me and Kyle and Kel. What do you guys think could go wrong?
I think that he could definitely raise the plants, and it would just go out. It would go beyond his control, and it seems how there were already monstrous plants here. We might have more monstrous plants to deal with.
That's good. That's good. My suggestion is that it's too quick for you, and actually just like reaches up and grabs Aya's body and pulls pulls the rest of it down and runs off with the body and escapes. John, do you have anything?
My thought was the ritual could go wrong, and he either binds himself or all of us with the plants.
Okay. And what do we think for Devil's Bargains? I've got one. This thing is not unique, and they live in families or groups. And so no matter what you do, the rest of this creature's family is going to hunt you for the rest of the incursion.
That is I don't know. I feel like that might be just a little bit too much, but at the same time, I am willing to take it. If no one else has.
John and Kyle, do you want to save him from this fate?
Yeah.
Offer other Devil's Bargains.
Okay, sorry guys, my cat's again making trouble.
No worries. We are
Save the
offering
older one from the younger one.
We are offering Devil's Bargains.
Yes. You just tell me again what the last one was real fast. Why I was picking
So
up.
my offering was that there is this thing is a like pack animal almost, and so the rest of its pack will hunt the group for the rest of the incursion. And we'll be following you.
That is really great. I think my Devil's Bargain is gosh. I think that's a good one. I don't know if I have one right now. I'm sorry, guys.
That's okay.
Is that all right?
Yeah, that's fine. You never have to give one.
Yeah, I don't have one either, so I guess you're stuck with choosing either we're hunted the rest of the time or not.
I think that it is more interesting for us to be hunted for the rest of the time.
Excellent.
So I am going to take the Devil's Bargain, which means that I am rolling 3 light.
3 dice, and let's just say that the rightmost one is the.
So 3 and the dark die.
So you roll 2 dice and the dark dice. 2 light dice and 1 dark dice.
Okay.
So on a risk roll, you don't get the 1 base. That's only on hunt rolls.
I see. I was a little bit mixed up there.
Yeah. That takes a little bit of getting used to.
Okay.
And then you still have to roll 1. So is that blue one your dark dice?
Yeah. I put that out earlier. I just re-rolled it.
That's okay. So that's a really good outcome for you. So you get a 6.
All right.
What does that look like?
I succeed. So I think that
succeed with no complications.
Yes. So I think that Osto reaches into a pouch slung across his chest, and he pulls out some powder, and he sprinkles it on the ground, and the foliage on the ground, below his feet, sort of starts moving a little bit. And then I think he like drops down onto his knees, and then the foliage just sort of all around grows into this like lattice around the creature's legs.
All right. I love that. And this creature is like hopping and trying to get away, but it can't, and it gets wrapped up in this tangled mess. I think it actually like throws the leg at you to try and like distract you. But it sails wide. It's not any danger to you. What are you going to do with this creature now that you've captured it?
Is the creature, how much money would I make if I tied this thing up and dragged it back to town?
Oh, you want to take it back alive?
Yeah,
Oh,
I'm sure that is much more expensive.
yes, that would be very difficult, but potentially worth it. Kel, you know of some nobles who have connections to like a circus. They would probably buy one of these monstrosities for like their freak show or something like that. So I think we'll resolve that when we get back to town, and you can kind of haggle with somebody to try and do that. But it would be worth it, you think? And Kel knows people who you can sell to. So you're gonna try and like use the vines to wrap this thing up and bind it, and
Yeah.
you're gonna drag it along with you, or are you gonna drag it along with you, or are you gonna like stash it somewhere?
I think I'm going to. Oh God, I think I stash it in the house.
Okay.
And then I will swing back by on my way back to town.
Yeah, this is definitely a great reason for those things to keep hunting you for the rest of the time, because they want revenge.
For it.
They think you have it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
That's quite a rat you've captured.
Yeah, so I think that's a decent place to wrap things up for tonight. Unless anybody has anything else they want to do, we'll pick up next time, and you guys will hit the road up to the Chasm of Screams. So
I think I want to bury my dead rat. And maybe cook some of those snakes over an open fire.
Those sound good. We will resolve that all next time. So thank you, anybody who's watching on the recording or on or live, I guess. I don't think that would happen, but thank you anyway. And we will be back next week for session 2. So